Om Sadashiva-Samarambham Shankaracharya-Madhyamam Asmadacharya-Paryantam Vande Guru-Paramparam. So I have a triple bonanza today. I have the honor, the privilege and the blessing to be in Satsanga with Swāmi Brahmavidānanda. I've had the honor of studying with him alongside work for many, many years before I studied with Pūjya Swāmiji in the course. And over the next hour or so, we will get a glimpse of Swamiji as a guru and as a person. I say it is a glimpse.
I thought they are seeing me full-fledged, not just glimpse.
No, the many facets about you, because you are so multifaceted, and that's really why I say it's a glimpse.
Okay.
So Swamiji, let's start at the beginning, and I'm just going to move away now. You have qualified as a marine engineer.
Yeah.
And you also have a background of martial arts. A very different background for somebody to take to Vedanta and spirituality at a very young age. In your formative years, 17,
yeah.
as I know. Can you tell us more about what happened and were there any turning points? How did this consume you so much that it really, that you committed your life to Vedanta?
Yes, I've met Pūjya Swāmi Dayānanda ji. He's just out of school, probably about 17 years or so, somewhere in 16, 17 year old, in 1969. And I'd met Swami Chinmayaji a few months earlier. He remained a friend, philosopher, guide over the years. It's only when I grew up, matured out, I became his disciple. It took time, in the sense, at 16, 17, we are not thinking of moksha and Vedanta. And anyway, I didn't know those words of moksha and what it meant. But as the experiences of life on the waterfront, naval history, exposure to some volunteer work in the 71 war, liberation of Bangladesh, with all that, I think I grew up overnight. And I was always a person searching for a lot in life. At any given time, I would have 100 irons in the fire. Not half a dozen irons, 100 irons in the fire. And Vedanta was in those days one of those things. That's all, nothing more than that. Until I attended a camp by Pūjya Swāmi Dayānanda at Lonavala. Just a weekend camp. It started off badly. The buses didn't come, the camp was delayed, and what was supposed to start at 10 in the morning, we started after lunch. And Pūjya Swāmiji said, okay, since we have missed the whole morning, I'm going to talk straight from 2 o'clock afternoon to dinner time, which is at 8, with just one small 15-minute tea break in between. And he kept unfolding the fundamental problem, the vision of Vedanta. And as a young man, I just kept listening and listening and listening. And that day I decided, this is what I've been searching for. I'll take it up full time one day or the other. This was way back in 1973. And by 76, I had joined him full time. The 76 course in Sandeepni, I did that. So that's how it started.
Yeah. So you like Vedanta has been with you even before some of us were born.
Probably. Yeah.
So we'd like to know more about the influence of Swami Chinmayaji in your life.
Ah, Swami Chinmayanji was a larger than life figure. He was a great inspiration. I think he was the first sannyasi whom I brought up in typical modern secular upbringing. Of course, I know 70s don't seem very modern now, but uh, someone you could relate to, and you was a great inspiration. And the first time you heard about the Gita or the Upanishads was through Swami Chinmayanji. In fact, I haven't heard Swami Dayānanda saying that. And the first time I heard Upanishad was through Swami Chinmayanji. Then studying from him, I did initially the typical youth group and the study group setups. And I had a very interesting experience with him in 1976. It was during the course, and that was an emergency time when Indira Gandhi had declared a state of emergency. Swami Chinmayanji was supposed to come to States, but his passport got held up with the PMO's office. So instead, Swami Dayānanda came to USA, and Swami Chinmayanji took all of us to Uttarkashi, a 3-month camp in Uttarkashi. So in one of those camps, one of those days during satsang, I asked him a question. Swamiji, there is a phenomenal difference in the way you teach Vedanta and the way Pūjya Swāmī Dayānanda teaches Vedanta. My batchmates started looking at me, and Swamiji saying, where am I going to be cut down by him? And Swami Chinmayanji didn't answer immediately. He was sitting where Tapovan Maharaj used to sit in Uttarkashi, Tapovan Kuti, and we were sitting where he used to sit. Now a whole generation had moved up. So he first turned leftwards, looked at Swami Tapovan Maharaj's photograph. Then he turned right, looked at the Ganga, and then he looked at me. And he said straight, what I learned from Tapovan Maharaj, I have never taught. I have only in public talked about those things that I learned from Swami Shivanandaji, about being good, doing good. I'm a hawker of Vedanta, hawking Vedanta. But if you really want to study what Vedanta is about, then Daya is your man. So all I could do was get up, prostrate to him, and sit back where I was. So this has been Swami Chinmayanji's influence on me.
Yeah. Very few people would know this.
Yes. Yeah, there were only about, at that time, it was before the satsang started. So maybe about 15 of us were sitting around Swamiji, that's all.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing this.
Yeah.
You did the Sandipani course in 1976, and after the course you have spent many years in Rishikesh as a sadhu. And I remember one of the things that you said to me, the difference is you all are doing a course. We walked away to become a sadhu.
Yes.
So please tell us more about your years in Rishikesh, almost 7-8 years.
Yeah, about 7 years in Rishikesh. I missed a few months of the course between 76 and 78, and the course was on. Because as I said before, that was the emergency period under Indira Gandhi. So I had a contract with the government, and 6 months I had to be away from the ashram. So I used that as an excuse to go to Rishikesh to study further. I wanted to study more. And those days, Rishikesh, there was no ashram. There's Swamiji's Kutia, an old thing with a tin roof, and about 3-4 rooms. So if guests came to the ashram, we would land up sleeping on Swamiji's veranda. Anyway, we are living out of a small bag, so we don't need much. And we are living on Bhiksha. We will go to the Kshetra morning and evening for our meals. And it was cold. Rishikesh is Tapo Bhumi. Winter it's freezing. Summer it is hot, you can fry eggs on the rocks on the Ganges banks. Rainy season it's flooded out. And malarial mostly around the year. So this is how Rishikesh is. But it's a great place with all that. And so I went there, as I said, lived on Bhiksha, and used to study from two great Mahatmas there. One was Swami Harihara Tirtha from Kailas Ashram, and the other was Swami Taranandagiri, who is also Pūjya Swāmī Dayānanda's guru. So when those days Swamiji was doing a course in Piercy, California. So when he was in India, I would travel with him and he would take classes like Naishkaran Siddhi and all for us. And when I was in Rishikesh, I would be studying from these two Mahatmas. So that is how life went. So what was the life like? Well, Vedanta morning, afternoon, evening. And some more Vedanta morning, afternoon, evening. So this would go on this. You are steeped in this knowledge. The only other thing that you are doing is going for Bhiksha and coming back. And a little bit of traditional Sanskrit, the Sutra literature. That's all. So the whole life was steeped in this knowledge. Learning and learning. And towards the end of it, I remember, Swamiji is supposed to come back after 3 months. So I told him, Swamiji, all this I have studied. What next? He said, sit down in the Ganga and just watch the Ganga. Sit down on the Ganga banks and just watch the Ganga. So it is something like what nowadays goes in the name of Vipassana. So for 3 months I did just that. You get up in the morning, finish your morning rituals, sit on the banks of the Ganga and just watch. Go for Bhiksha, come back, watch. It's dark, evening Bhiksha, watch some more. Then go to sleep. Next morning, same thing. You just watch. It is a huge meditative exercise. 3 months of pure contemplation, nothing else. In the end of it, all the knowledge settles down in you and you feel you're fine. And then when Swamiji came back, he said, now it's time for you to confuse people. So go down and confuse the people, which I do very well now.
Yeah. You've known Swami Dayānanda for most of your life.
Yeah.
Tell us more about being with him.
Well, where do I start and where do I end this,
For more than 40 years?
Yeah, more than 40 years. Because from the time I'm 16, 17 to a few months back. That is from 69 to a few months back. Yeah, I think he was, ever since I met him, he has been the most important influence in my life. Most important influence in my life. And in the beginning, he was just a friend, philosopher and guide. I had not discovered the Guru in him. In fact, what attracted me to him when I first met him, the very first day, he strode into Swami Chinmayananda's Yajna, public talks. And as a youngster, I'm watching him and I'm thinking, that walk is not a sadhu's walk. That's a warrior's walk. When did a sadhu start walking like a warrior? Because remember my exposure to martial arts. I mean, I let it be. I didn't ask him anything about that. Because I was told, don't ask a sadhu's past. Okay. I don't strictly believe in that, but those days I didn't ask. 10 years later, in 1979, I visited his hometown with him. Now he was born in this village of Manjakudi near the town of Kumbakonam. And when we visited his village, the whole village came out to welcome him into the village. And there were 6 people demonstrating martial arts. I mean, the Panditas were there chanting the Taittiriya Upanishad and everything after the Purna Kumbha. But what attracted my attention was the 6 people demonstrating the art of Selambam or stick fighting. So at the end of it, when we entered the village, I asked their guru, the martial arts guru, in my broken Tamil, I conversed with him. And I asked him, well, in modern India, it's not a great tradition to welcome a sannyasi with a martial art discipline. In the time of the Vedas, Bhrigu Mahatharvan, Jabali, etc., it was there. But not nowadays. How come? So old man gave me a toothy grin and said, well, your guru was my disciple. I taught him the art of stick fighting. And he was so good that he could fight with 3 people at the same time. So I immediately connected. Well, that is where the warrior walk came from. So there were a number of instances like this with Swamiji, where you would just sit down at the end of a day sometime, swapping jokes. You just swap jokes or discuss about world religions. And the studies also were very informal. Swamiji was much younger those days, and sometimes he would take a class at 10 o'clock in the night. He'd say, hey, it's only 10. There's still time to sleep. Get your books. Let's have a class. So it is very informal learning. At the same time, a great deal of learning. We are living out of a suitcase, traveling with him. Yeah, catching up with him wherever he goes, and to learn. It's a phenomenal thing. The way he handled people, that was something of a learning for me. Different types of people, all types of people, from believers to disbelievers, people who came to scoff, people from anti-God movements. They all came to him with their own agendas, and they all left feeling blessed, feeling that here is a man who cared for them. That was something phenomenal. That was something phenomenal. Yeah. His compassion, sometimes it bugged me. Come on, he's being too compassionate. These characters don't deserve it. Yeah, and that's also a factor. Yeah. But that's what made him what he was. Hugely compassionate. Yeah. Strong sense of humor. Even at the personal level, when you looked at him in public with his dress, he seemed very traditional. But at a personal level, you could sit down and discuss anything and everything with him. In fact, my growing up years, what I couldn't discuss with my parents, I would discuss with him. Yeah, relationships, sex, anything under the sun. And I found his insights, very, very beautiful, very revealing, conducive to growth. Yeah. Of course, later on he said, I thought I was changing you all. I got changed in the process. So he could acknowledge our influence on him also, because he came from a very orthodox background. And here he was exposed to me and some friends of mine who were completely from the other end of the spectrum. Totally liberal, totally modern in our outlook. But he was fine with all of us. Never at any time did we feel that he was judgmental about us or our value structure or anything of that sort. It's huge. What can I say? Oh, what I like to say is he was the most relaxed in Rishikesh. Pūjya Swāmiji somewhere else, and in Rishikesh, it's almost like a different facet of his personality was coming up. He'd go for walks, he'd sit down on the Ganges bank, go down to the rocks, generally chit-chat with all the sadhus, which is a dimension which we wouldn't see elsewhere. That's some of my sharing with him.
Yeah, you've been teaching Swamiji in Mumbai for more than 30 years now.
Yeah.
That's a really, really long time.
Yeah.
And you've chosen to reach out to different people in different walks of life. And a lot of the people perhaps listening in today are people who are pursuing Vedanta alongside other things.
Mm.
So I want to ask you, what are the advantages and disadvantages of learning Vedanta while one is having other pursuits in life?
When I teach, I think I take the students seriously. Though I know when you're teaching in public, you have to stimulate the mumukshutvam in people. You have to stimulate jnasatvam. Both you have to stimulate that in the beginning. That's true. And to teach the whole thing, like say from Tattvabodha to the Brahma Sutras, I must have done it half a dozen times up to now.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
Like
it's
6
true.
times
It's like 6
with
times,
different
yeah.
batches.
And in public, that will take about 10 years, roughly. Give or take a year here and there. It will take roughly 10 years. The advantage is the teaching is slow. Therefore, it can be assimilated well and integrated into their lives because it's a slow pace about it. The flip side, the disadvantage would be that because there is a gap from one class to another class, people are not steeped into this like how it is in a full-time course. The 3 years continuously you're steeped in. That is not there. I try to supplement that by steeping them into some camps and things like that so that they get a taste of what it is to be a full-time course. I do that, but this is the two ways. I always say being a full-time course is like taking the expressway and doing it along with other things in life is taking the scenic route. So you have your choice. Both can work. Both can work. Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, and also that from amongst your students who, the ones who are understanding well, or what guidance would you give in terms of 2 or 3 things that people can do to have more clarity?
Okay, to get, since the classes will be only once or twice a week, most people cannot come more than that. I would strongly suggest some amount of self-study. Study a text they have already heard from me. If you can't do that, the Gita Home Study course is one of the most beautiful texts they can do on their own. Study that. Of course, live a life in keeping with Karma Yoga. That's live a life of Dharma, keeping your priorities in mind with Ishwararpana and Prasada Buddhi. That goes without saying. Your lifestyle is governed by that. And add some meditation depending upon their level of learning. Either preparatory meditation if you're a beginner or Nididhyasana if you've already been exposed. If you do these 3 things, there is no reason why, even if you are pursuing it part-time, as we say, along with other things in life, there is no reason why they cannot understand the whole truth themselves. I don't see any reason why they cannot.
That's quite reassuring, Swamiji, because
Yeah,
we come across a lot of students who almost feel tied down by their responsibilities and would love to take it full time, but don't. So what you say is quite reassuring.
Yeah, that is true because it can. No, this is not something unique that I'm saying. Krishna said the same thing in the Gita. Lokesmin dividanishta. 2 lifestyles. Jnana yogena sankhyanam, karma yogena yoginam. So it's not something new I'm saying. I'm just giving it a modern touch to the whole thing. That's all, a contemporary touch to the whole thing. That's it.
Right. And Swamiji, another different thing about you is that while you started teaching in Bombay in 1985, uh, sannyasa happened much later, almost 20 years or so later. And so also for the ones who are into studying Vedanta or teaching Vedanta, uh, could you share your perspective on this?
Yeah, it's very interesting. Most of my batchmates took sannyasa in 82, 83, 1982, 83 when Pūjya Swāmiji left Chinmaya Mission and came on to Rishikesh. In fact, one of those days he called me and he asked me, "What are your plans?" I said, "Swamiji, my plans began and ended with this knowledge. I have no plans." So he asked me, "What about the robes?" I said, "Swamiji, you want me to take it right now? This moment, I will take it." Then I said, "Otherwise?" I said, "Otherwise, I told my dad, almost like giving a word, that since I'm the only son, I will be there with him during his last days. And I liked his funeral pyre. I had said that. So that's a commitment I had given, which kept me from taking the robes all these years. So he expired in 2002. And immediately after that, next year, I took sannyas. The advantage of that was, one thing, I could see look at it. I had already studied so much of Vedanta. I had a certain amount of nishtha myself. At the same time, I could study the society very closely, almost like a participant myself. Whereas the robes put a little distance between you and the people. But since I was in white, one great advantage was I could walk in anywhere, get to know people, understand things at a very, very informal level. So that was the advantage of it, which helped me become very, very contemporary in my teaching. And being in white and teaching Vedanta, also I contributed in a small way to making spirituality mainstream. Now, of course, spirituality is mainstream, thanks to also efforts like Art of Living and Jaggi Vasudev and all of them. Spirituality has become mainstream. Okay, they all may be New Age spirituality, it doesn't matter. But spirituality as a whole has become mainstream, which was not the case in the late 70s and early 80s. It was not mainstream. So I think being in white and talking about this, including reaching out to corporates, made it mainstream.
Tell us more about your involvement with corporates, because you've done a very wide-ranging reaching out to all kinds and all groups of people. And this is a very unique thing about doing corporate training for more than 20 years or so.
30 years almost, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, even before I started teaching in Bombay, I had made it a point to organize Pūjya Swāmiji's talks in Bombay. I said every year, at least once, consistently, I will organize his talks. So a lot of time and effort would go into these. So I couldn't ask my students now, hey, I also have to do some reaching out work, do something for me as well, because the same group of people are working. So I said now every teacher has to reach out to the public. I was exposed to Vedanta because somebody organized Pūjya Swāmiji's talks in Bombay, and I listened to him. Because somebody else helped in reaching, in Swāmi Dayānanda in reaching out, it came to me. So I said I have a responsibility in doing that. One, for Swāmi Dayānanda, second, by myself. So how will I go about it without spending too much of time, money, effort in the whole thing? So I networked with a couple of organizations and started doing corporate training, where the training was hardcore HR issues like communications, team building, etc. But I would always bring in a spiritual dimension to the whole thing. So it was again a part of reaching out, creating a jignasa in people. Hey, there is something more. Let's know. Let's try to know more about it. Those days, even though I was in white, I would walk in to the corporate training in a white kurta and dhoti. Sometimes there are times when they've been a little bit wary about me. But those efforts over the last 25-30 years, now in my sannyasi robes, people are welcome. So many corporates are happy to have a sannyasi coming and teaching them or talking to them on corporate governance, corporate ethics, and other issues as well. So I think it was part of my reaching out and has had its impact on the society.
Thank you, Swamiji. I think now is a good time to open up the floor to questions from all of you.
Thank you, Swamiji, for sharing your insights. It was really very inspiring to hear your story. And each time we have a conversation with, all of y'all, it's an eye opener. So we learn new things about Pujya Swamiji, how Vedanta is part and parcel of everyone's life. It's just for us to see it. And I had a question related to seeing the kind of spirituality hanging around in the internet world over here and outside also. So there are so many groups, and there are a lot of people who are clinged into a particular set of spirituality which is like so different from what we are pursuing. So what are your thoughts on that, and how do you think we can uh, get people to see the traditional side of Vedanta and appreciate it the way it is?
It's a very good question. When I first started off my teaching, in fact, the first text I taught was advanced text like Vedanta, Paribhasha, etc. in Rishikesh to a group of students who were there and wanted to learn, but couldn't relate to the Hindi teaching that was happening in Rishikesh. And later on, when I came to Bombay and I started teaching traditionally, so in the beginning, I used to be a little dismissive of these groups. But over the years, when I've seen what they're doing, I think there is a place for them as well. In the sense that everyone is not ready for Vedanta. Even if I go and give a talk on Vedanta, people say it's nice, it's good. It's exactly what my teacher in Art of Living told me. So initially I would get bugged. Okay, so what the heck? Then I would think, hey, that's all their level of growth is. They cannot understand more. They are not yet ready for Vedanta. But let them go through that. And one advantage of teaching in Bombay for more than 30 years is I have seen some of these people who were not ready for Vedanta over the years, because of other exposure, etc., getting ready, because all of them are some sort of meditative exercises, some sort of visualization exercises. Even Reiki, etc., is some sort of visualization exercises, some meditative exercises. So it has some effect in calming the mind. It has some effect on their growth. So after some time, they start seeing the limitations of it and want to know more. Like Prajna takes a class where all of them started as Art of Living students, and now they're all very seriously studying the Gita from her. So I've seen this happening. In time, even people who are stuck in all these New Age spirituality, I just put one global term to them as New Age spirituality, eventually some of them will come. Some of them, of course, will get conditioned and not come. That also will be there. But I guess all of us have to come at our own times. What we could do is more reaching out work. More reaching out work, give them an exposure to traditional Vedanta. Those who are ready among them, or those who are even curious among them, will take it up. So I think we'll have to focus on that. And I think that way the effort that you're doing on the net is huge, because we are having a presence for very traditional Vedanta right on the net itself. I think that's a big thing. That's a good thing to do also. Anything else? Shoot.
Swamiji, namaste, and thank you so much for such an insightful set of answers that you've given. It definitely got rid of a whole bunch of misconceptions I too had about the so-called New Age spirituality, and as you say that they all have a place in the world, and depending on where a person is in their journey, it might be relevant to them. So thank you for that insight. I definitely got something out of this. I wanted to ask a question that we've known that Pujya Swamiji's teaching style has also evolved over the years, right from the time he began with Chinmaya Mission to the time the Arshavidya Gurukulam was established and so on. And so, in your experience, how have the courses, the 3-year courses, changed in their structure and their narrative over the decades?
The course basically hasn't changed much. I mean, what we did in Chinmaya Mission in 1976. See, I'm familiar with both the 72 and the 76 batches, because 72, practically half the batch I've attended along with my work. I used to come and go. Every holiday would be spent in the ashram. So I knew what Swamiji was doing there. Now, my course, what Swamiji taught. If at all there is a change in the course, it's only Swamiji's maturity and growth as a teacher. See, he knew the truth when he was teaching in 72 as well. There is no doubt about that. But as a teacher, he matured. Like, you wouldn't believe it. In 69, I listened to a whole 15-day talk by Pūjya Swāmi Dayānanda without one joke. Without one joke. Only one story of the 10th man. That is all. Now, can you believe that what Pūjya Swāmiji's talks, public talks would be like now? The last few years, like every 5 minutes there is a joke coming up. There is humor. Well, that time he was much more serious. So the changes have been only superficial like that. Even the courses. Yeah, like the last course he took, which was that year?
Which ended in 2013, 2010 to 2013.
2010 to 2013. I think that was one of his finest courses because of his maturity of his wisdom and him as a mature teacher coming out. Whereas when we exposed to him, he was in his 40s. Yeah, he was half the age, he was in his 40s when we exposed to him. Yeah.
Any prakriyas that he emphasized more as you saw him teach?
No, Swami always believed in...
anything he sort of minimized in emphasis?
Not much. I think that what he always consistently focused on was the role of the pramana, the immediacy of knowledge, and the pramana that works, not the meditation. Meditation only preparatory or owning up. That has been stressing right from the beginning to now. Yeah, and he's also dismissive of a lot of things because he didn't want any one of us to be stuck in anything. In fact, I used to do a lot of social work in the late 70s, early 80s. And Swamiji said, he just one day said, hey, stop all that. You don't have to do all that thing. So I stopped to find him starting aim for seva later on. But I stopped doing it and he started the whole thing in a big way. Yeah. And I felt, hell, here I am. I really have inside information and all on what happens in India on the social work scene, the NGO scene. I have that. But he stopped me from doing it, and here he started it on a big way. But I guess it was because he didn't want any of us to get distracted by anything, especially the full-time student. So, no, you get Vedanta clear first, after that, anything else. And I think that makes sense. Yeah. Even my martial art, etc., I had kept partly in abeyance when I was in studying in Sandeepni as well as in Rishikesh. I had kept that in abeyance. I just used to do some exercise for my fitness so that I'll be healthy. That's all, nothing more than that. Yeah. So otherwise, there's no change. It's the same thing.
See, thank you so much, Swamiji. A very mundane question, but which martial arts is this?
Yeah. This martial art, I've experimented with a few styles. I started with boxing in my school days, though that's not strictly considered a martial art because there's nothing very about it, spiritual about it. Then I went into judo, I went into karate, a little bit of, very little bit of aikido, kung fu. Then I settled down into tai chi in my older years. I said Tai Chi is a very, very phenomenal form of combat among all the martial arts that I studied. Very soft form, but as a combat form, it's very, very effective. And all of them helped me. For me, it was not just about punching and kicking. I studied it from under traditional teachers. So for me, it was more of a meditative form. The traditional martial arts are called moving meditation. They call moving Zen. So like how you sit down and meditate, you get that same contemplative mind in action. In a combat situation, you're supposed to be calm, peaceful, centered when somebody is attacking you. So I think that way it was a great preparation for me because honestly, I didn't come from a very religious background. So I have not done much of pujas, worship. I had an understanding of Ishvara. Yes, nothing more than that. Okay, somewhere we might go and bow down to. That's it. I never thrown a flower at the Lord. Forget offering before I joined the ashram. But my preparation in many ways was martial arts because they're all meditative. That's how I took it. That's how if at all I help people learn, that's how I help people learn, that it is a meditative exercise. You're calm and centered whatever happens in life. And if you're calm and centered whatever happens in life, that's exactly what samatvam in yoga is about. Samatvam yoga muchyate. That's the same thing. Be calm, centered in all aspects of life. So that's why I started my corporate training also, because that's another side of the same thing. Because only a personally competent person can know Vedanta. That personal competency, kushalata, which goes not only ethics, but also your personal competency, your soft skills, as you would call it in modern days. So that's part of the game. And martial arts enhances your personal competency. So for me, it is all yoga. Yeah, true. That's how it came about. Yeah.
Something quite unique, I find about your approach is that it's easier to have a sense of contemplation, samatvam, when one is going about one's life. And you actually take it to a totally different notch, because you say in the face of instinctive fear, when there is threat, physical threat, to still be contemplative. And to be alert and relaxed. And one has seen you, for so many years, and it's quite an inspiration to be able to see that.
I think, that came from my martial art background, and I really think it'll help anyone and everyone to be that. Because ultimately, meditation is not about what you do half an hour in the morning and evening. If the whole day is going to be non-contemplative, that's why Pūjya Swāmiji also used to say, it's a contemplative mind that you need to have. Not just the contemplation, the contemplative mind. And that's what is a contemplative mind? A mind that is calm and centered in respective of what you're doing, in face of threats, like instinctive fears that Swami was talking about. Is I take people river rafting. I'll take them through some of these activities. Older people also. Make them jump into the river from the boat and say, well, confront your fears. Let me see how calm and peaceful you are when you're jumping from a rock into the river. Hey, here it is. I mean, these are just challenges to test yourself out. There can be other threats. These are physical. Therefore, your instinctive fears can come up. But there can be non-physical threats also, where you can feel insecure, when you can feel worried. That time also to be calm, centered. To be the calm center in the storm of all activities. That's what's important, I think. Such a person is, I would say, is a true yogi. And for that person, knowledge is very easy.
Others are welcome to ask questions. Was it Syama Krishna? No.
Pranam Swamiji.
Yeah.
It was a great opportunity to listen to your experiences with Pūjya Swāmiji and at Rishikesh also. I'd like to know, you said about mind being calm and centered. So I would like to know how to bring our mind slowly to that level. Like at least reduce our restlessness, tension and all, and bring to calm and...
Okay. Let us put it this way. Actually, the mind is supposed to be calm and peaceful under normal conditions. Why? It's a product of the sattva aspect of Maya. So it's supposed to be calm and peaceful. We have to look at what is disturbing it. Very often, it is some guilt or regrets or some pain that has come from the past. So do whatever is necessary, psychologically speaking, to deal with that, to come to terms with that. Because there are things I may feel guilty about, I felt hurt about, I may regret about. Guilt and regret take care of it by some actions we call prayaschitam, making amends. Hurt by processing that hurt, forgiving the person, or at least letting go of what has happened. In a nutshell, I'm making this in a nutshell. It can be an elaborate psychological process, but that has to be taken care of. Other thing that makes my mind restless is my worries and anxieties about what is going to happen. There, Prasada Buddhi will take care of that. Ishwara Arpanam Prasada Buddhi. I have done what I can, Lord, now it's in your hands. Finished. Good, bad, ugly, I will accept it. The moment I'm willing to accept things that happen as Prasada, my worry and anxiety is far reduced. Maybe only 10% is remaining. Then all that is left behind is my tendency, my habit of being excited. Do some meditation, take care of that. Yeah. Japa Dhyanam, simple Japa Dhyanam that Pūjya Swāmiji has taught. All these cassettes are available. Yeah, simple Japa Dhyanam, do that, that will take care of it. Do some awareness exercises like yoga. Many of you in West, I am sure, practice yoga. Do the asanas with full awareness. Though Samadhi is the end of yoga, the last step, Ashtanga Yoga, the final step is Samadhi. It has to actually start in asana pranayama. When you're doing an asana, you have to do it very awarefully. It's not an exercise, it's an awareness exercise. So you do it very awarefully. They say that, na, feel the stretch, watch the pain, watch what is happening in your body. So when you do it like that, your mind automatically becomes more calm. That becomes an awareness exercise. Or if there is too much of restlessness in you, what Swami Vivekananda said, sometimes I find football more spiritual. Yeah, work out that restlessness in a physical activity. It helped me. It helped me. I'm not joking. It helped me work it out. Yeah, have a great, a nice physical activity. Play a sport because our lives are too sedentary. Go jogging every day, or whatever necessary to work out that restlessness. I think in the three-pronged way, mind will naturally be calm.
Thank you, Swamiji. One more question: how to build more mumukshutvam in us?
Yeah.
How to build
Mumukshutvam.
How to bring in more mumukshutvam?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Set your priorities first. You know, we generally function at the level of our desires. But behind the desires, there is a hidden priority. Like everyone says, I want a job. Why do you want a job? To make money? You don't need a job. Go. Sell vada pav on the roads. You'll get a lot of money. In India, we are talking about. Hey, no, I want some. So there's no social standing in that. So now look at it. The financial independence, social standing, etc., are the hidden priorities behind the desire for a job. So like this, get in touch with your priorities first and function at that level. Number one. Number two, see the limitation of all of them. That not one of them is going to give you the fulfillment that you're seeking. Behind 100 desires, there may be 10 priorities. Behind the 10 priorities is the desire for fulfillment. None of the desire or the priorities are going to make you totally fulfilled. When you see that very clearly, and you also see the fact that it is Vedānta that will give you the fulfillment, that will help you discover the fulfillment that you are seeking, your mumukshutvam will grow. Keep getting exposed to Vedānta, mumukshutvam will keep growing. In fact, after some time you'll ask me, Swamiji, I have to keep it in check a bit because I have responsibilities to fulfill. Yeah. Yeah, so do it that way, it'll work out. There's no reason it should
Thanks a
not
lot,
work.
sir.
Welcome.
Thanks a lot.
Welcome.
Swamiji, namaskar.
Namaskar ji, boliye.
In the same vein, you mentioned corporate life, and just now you said maybe too much mumukshutvam. But being a karma yogi and trying to be having samatvam and taking results in a calm way without getting too elated or too depressed. So those are good qualities. But when I try to use them in corporate life, it somehow some managers or some supervisors may get the impression that there is no passion, there is no warrior in the person. Is that a right reading that I have, or is it something I'm missing here?
I'm talking about being calm and centered in spite of your passion, in spite of the excitement, not as an absence of excitement or passion. Are you getting the difference? You can laugh for a joke, you can be passionate about things, because that's on the outside. You're centered on what you really are. Even if you don't know what you really are, you're still centered on yourself. So you can be calm in spite of the passion. You are the calm center in the storm of activities. So let the storm rage outside. It's fun. It's great. Yeah, when they see me in the ring, when I'm knocking off somebody, I am not as though I'm in meditation. When I knock somebody, I knock somebody. I whack somebody, I whack somebody. Yeah. So similarly, when I'm teaching, I'm all excitement and this and everything. Yeah, when I take a workshop, I keep moving around, inspiring people to do things. But that doesn't mean I'm not calm or centered. You don't have to be a Buddhist monk. You have to have that passion and everything. At the same time, be calm inside. It doesn't knock you off your feet.
Right, sir.
That's
Swamiji, Namaskaram. I have a question for you. This is regarding, you have already answered this, I guess, but I'll still ask you. How does one overcome fear and build courage? Because I generally see in life what holds people back is you know that there's fear, you overcome it, but within a fraction of a moment or just a moment, it'll again come back to you. So what path you take, you decide to go, right? That's the reason the newer goals always falls in the first 10 days. The goals just falls down and we are not able to follow what we ourselves write. So how does one ensure that if he has a goal, how does one ensure that he can achieve the goal?
See, achievement of the goal is dependent on your planning, your work, etc. But the fear part of it, yeah, when you have a goal, you also are aware of the fact that you may not achieve it. So fear comes from this basic thinking, apart from the Vedanta point of view I'm talking, in the functional world, fear comes from the appreciation of the fact that there may be a loss. You may not reach your goal. You may have loss of money, name, reputation, whatever. There will be some loss involved. And I cannot handle that loss. There will be a loss involved and I cannot handle that loss. So all it takes to live in courage is I can handle it. From I can't handle it to I can handle it. Let me tell you a small story, a real life story about one of our heroes, a friend of mine who's retired now and is Major General Suri. He's about 15 years older than me, 15, not more than that, older than me. This was the 1965 battle, Indo-Pak War. He was in charge of the army sappers, engineers. And they had to clear a minefield in the night so the army could attack in the morning. Somewhere the enemy came to know that they are clearing the minefield, so they started shelling. There's no more dangerous place in the world than that. You're in the midst of a minefield and there are shells dropping in on top. So Major General Suri, he was a colonel at that time. He said, my first instinct was to go and hide behind a rock. But if I had done that, my people will do the same, the minefield will not be cleared. So he's a big man, he stands right in the middle of the minefield, legs apart, hands folded, and starts directing the people. Some shrapnel hit him also, explosions all around. But the minefield is cleared, the army attacks in the morning, we win that war. At the end of that long day, a young lieutenant goes up to the colonel and asks him, sir, it was so heroic to see you there standing like the rock of Gibraltar. You didn't even have a little bit of fear? And the colonel says, why do you think I was standing with my legs apart? So the young man replies, sir, better balance, nothing of that sort. I didn't want anybody to see my knees knocking together. The colonel was scared. Any man would be scared. So courage is not absence of fear. Courage is doing what you're supposed to do. Courage is doing what is right in spite of the fear. If you didn't have fear, you wouldn't need courage. It is a fearful person that requires courage. Courage is doing what is right, doing what is expected of you in spite of the fear. If you keep this much in mind, as we say, you feel the fear, it's only human. There's a latest Green Lantern movie like that. It's a movie that's come from Hollywood. Green Lantern, where the guy is scared to take on his robes. He says, well, you're only human, you're scared, but you feel the fear, admit the fear, accept that fear, and do what you have to do. You push yourself to do what you have to do. You feel the fear and do it. It is easier to push through that fear and do what you're supposed to do rather than live with that fear hanging over your head all your life. And another thing is, you do what you're afraid of, the fear will reduce. You do what you're afraid of, the fear will always reduce.
Like, I'm scared of water, I'll try to swim.
Yeah. So get somebody's help and do a progressive desensitization, meaning step by step. Just walk on the shallow end first. Maybe walk in a kiddie's pool first, then walk in the shallow end with someone next to you, then try to swim in the shallow end, and slowly go into the deep end, step by step, slowly, progressively.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Pranam Swamiji.
Yes,
You mentioned earlier when we are pursuing Vedanta with all the other things, especially the Vyavharika Jivna, and there's a constant pull towards Vedanta, but then you're also pushed towards the Vyavharika Jivna. How do you maintain that balance? I know you said it happens, the contemplation and all happens slowly, but how do you maintain the interest in both? Because you need this Vyavharika Jivna to lead your life, basic requirement money. Your priorities are there and you have to follow, you have to fulfill your priorities. But then your interest is also towards Vedanta, and that is so nice actually. That world is so nice, but how do you maintain the balance between the two?
First thing, don't look upon it as mutually exclusive. That's the first thing. Don't look at your life and Vedanta as mutually exclusive. Your life helps you grow, and that helps you come to Vedanta better. Never have regrets for whatever you are doing in life, because whatever you are doing, even if you are making some mistakes in life, even if you are going what you call away from the path, as people say, it's okay, because you are learning and growing. It's all right. And so that your mind is getting ready. Look upon all the activities you are doing for money, for family, for children, for relatives. Look upon all this as a growing activity. Convert it into a sadhana 24/7. And that comes by the Karma Yoga Buddhi. Ishvara Arpanam Prasada Buddhi. What am I learning? What am I growing in this? Once you do that, that little exposure to Vedanta will be enough to make you understand things. And immerse yourself into the studying as well. Spend some time, if not on a daily basis, on a weekly basis for the study. Attend some camps if you can. Get live teaching if you can. That's ideal. Ideal is live teaching. Or if you can't get a live teaching, wherever you are, see whether there are some Vedanta camps available. Like I have some students who cannot come to my regular classes. Their lifestyle is too busy. But they make it to come to my camps, so that the 3-4 days they're immersed into Vedanta. So that's another option. Yeah, it's another option. Where are you based?
I'm based in Bangalore, Swamiji.
So Bangalore, there are teachers and there are camps. There are people in Bangalore taking classes and everything. Yeah, so you'll get live teaching.
It's just that lifestyle is such that it's difficult to go and
work is demanding. Bangalore, Bombay, and all work is demanding. I know that. Yeah.
So
Swamiji, namaskar. Sorry.
Yeah.
Can you give us some?
So I was just.
I'm sorry. Yeah, can you give us some references for some Bangalore teachers? I will go and contact them.
How do you do this about Bangalore teachers?
Swāmini Brahmavidānanda.
Yeah, Swāmini Brahmavidānanda is there. Bhuma Vidya is there.
Swami Chidatmananda is there also.
Chidatmananda comes and goes, yeah. But probably if your emails are.
They can look at. They can search for see all the names are coming up. They can search for Swāmini Brahmavidānanda ji on Facebook, connect with her there, and take it forward. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
We'll do that.
Yeah.
Also, there's one in Bannerghatta Road, the Adarsh Vidya Kendra in Bannerghatta Road, and in Ati Nagar. So you can go there also and look.
Yeah, you will find some Swamiji's teacher in every city in India. You know, some person who has been trained with Pūjya Swāmiji in some city or the other of India, you will always find it.
Fine.
But
Thank
yeah,
you, Swamiji.
it's not easy when in some type of work, sometimes if you're in corporate work, to always be able to make it. Yeah.
Other questions? I think we have time for a couple of more questions. So it looks like everybody has become very confident.
It's good. I didn't know I was this good.
Yeah.
You know what? Look at it as a great, nice journey. Believe me, at the end of the day, when you look back now, you'll say it has been a great journey with all the hassles, with all the this. And one thing I learned from an old song, old song, you know, especially when you're on your journey to moksha. This was an old again, you know, this pot broiler westerns, you know, like that, and it said, the song went something like this: "Go west, young man, and grow up with the country." West meaning, you know, Wild West days in states. West is now California, where you all are. Okay, go west, young man. Yeah. So it said, the song went on to say, "Eastward, the sun climbs slowly, oh how slowly. But westward, look, the land is bright." So similarly, when you're looking ahead, oh, moksha, long way off, I have to understand so much. But look back in your life and see where you have come. You come a long way. It's all bright and clear. So many things that you thought was problematic is now seeming great. So you'll find yourself fine. Life is good after all. With all the hassles, life is good. You know, you can say it's great. Because you have learned to handle it in a great manner. That's what makes it great. Yeah.
Then shall we call it a day if there are no more
Whatever,
questions?
after that, I'm game, I got whatever. For me, it's not like taking a class, I'm just chatting.
Swamiji had also recommended that we could have another session like this. This one was brilliant. I really enjoyed it. We all learned so much, and perhaps we could have another similar session where we could be, you could give us answers on dharma, and we all could keep our questions ready as well to start with.
I'll be happy to. Only thing is, I'm not very net savvy, so you'll have to. That's one of my drawbacks. Okay, I'm old school, but if you let Brahma Prajna know, she's been very kind to help me with all this. So just let her know, and we fix up and anytime. After about 3-4 months, when my small place gets ready, probably I'll set up something there. But until then, anytime you want, let Brahma Prakasha know, and anytime during the week we can have it. Yeah, no, I
Yeah,
said
I'm
that.
very happy to do that.
Yeah.
I'll be very happy to do that.
Yeah, I'll be happy to.
Yeah.
It's always great to interact with interested people, and I've known that all of you are very keen about all this. Yeah, great to see Unnati and you too. I've heard about you, but I've not met you. It's great to see see you through the Skype at least. Yeah. Unnati came to one of my camps, and I think she had a good time there. So shall we call it a day then? I enjoyed being with all of you. Om Tat Sat. Take care. Om. You see anything?